I have to keep reminding myself that I am kind of just figuring out game development as I go. I didn't go to college for game development. I've only read a third of a game dev book. And quite frankly, I love that process of kind of figuring it out as I go. My hope is that it can help me create my own unique style, flavor, and taste as an artist. But one of the big consequences of that is I make a lot of mistakes, and there are plenty of things that I didn't maliciously do in my game Hexagod. I simply just didn't consider an alternative solution or have some sort of theory behind the decision. It was just a decision I made in the moment. And I think that can sometimes hurt. It can sometimes hurt when I miss on certain game design elements where now that I'm like 3 weeks into having released my second game Hexagod here, I can look back at them and say, oh yeah, those are just bad decisions. Or, oh yeah, I can see how that vibe would throw you off or how that bug would be created. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's easy to have that feeling. It's easy to say, I made a mistake, therefore I suck and I'm bad. But I need to keep reminding myself again, I wasn't trained in this. I haven't had education and like a rigorous study of game development and stuff like that. Like it's really just the trends of like of me and my love of video games and what I like in games is kind of what I take forward into the projects I make. What's next is learning. Taking what I did in Hexagod here and really trying to understand where I missed the mark, because Hexagod has sold like $4,000, and I talked to my friends and my family a lot about that, and I consider that about, on the scale of Steam success, that's about a 5, where 0 is your game gets released and you have no sales and nobody plays the game, and a 10 is like, what would it be? What's the most recent like indie hit? Schedule 1, which has probably at this point made somewhere around like $50 million or something stupid like that. That's a 10. 0 is nothing. And in my head, each step up the rung in success, this is just a made up metaphor in my head, but each step up the rung of success is a 10x in success. So similar to how earthquakes, each step up in a magnitude of an earthquake is a 10x bigger earthquake. Hey, Aarimous from the future here. I forgot to mention and really nail this point home here, but if you want to support the channel any further, the best way to do that is to go check out Hexagod, either to purchase it now or make sure you wishlist it, because I guarantee even in the last 3 weeks here, I have been patching this game constantly and adding in huge new improvements. And so at least consider wishlisting it, because it'll come out fully in the next 3 to 6 months here. And I think this game is going to be a real gem, and one that ideally is going to give you at least 10 hours of playtime for the $8 you spend on it. I appreciate the support. I try not to take sponsorships on this channel, and this is the best way to help make sure I can keep making these videos in the long run. Thank you very much. I consider Hexagod a 5. 500 sales in the first couple weeks and a couple $1,000, and even more so like a bunch of wish list growth in the first couple weeks is really it's a good success. It's probably is like the median like a game on Steam potentially. Again, I don't have a lot of data for this. This is kind of just a vibe check. What I need, like, that's not sustainable. Hexagod's success isn't sustainable. That's quite frankly what it is. If my next game takes me 10 months and it comes out and it also does 500 sales, that's awesome, and you can start stacking small games like that and have success. But what I really need is to 10x it. I need to go from 500 to 5,000, and that would be like to 10x that is not crazy. If you think about game development in the gaming industry, it is a huge industry full of a lot of money being thrown around at games. So to go from 500 players in the first couple of weeks to 5,000 players in the first couple of weeks is not that crazy of a thing to do. If I'm trying to now instead go from 500 and I want to get to 500,000, that is a much bigger leap to take in the grand scheme of things. And so what I need to do, realistically speaking, is to look at this game and see where I was successful and where I was not successful, and take that understanding and that like gentleness with myself of like, yeah, Of course you made mistakes, Aarimous. Like, you weren't ever trained in game development. You've never been trained as an artist. Like, most of your art skills have been from watching Jazza on YouTube and Bob Ross videos for the last, like, 2 decades of your life. Like, of course you're going to make some mistakes. And of course, your Hexagod art is going to be based off of what you can do at this moment. So I need to be gentle with myself, but I also need to look at this very objectively and say, what could I do? And it's still in early access, so some of these things are in the next coming months. So what's coming next is going to be looking at Hexagod from a game design standpoint and in reworking a bunch of the systems. I have a huge list of changes here that I want to make. Some of these are obviously going to be bugs with 2Gs, we'll throw it down to 1G. Some of them are just to-dos of like quality of life changes that I want to make the game feel better to play. Reworking of the controller layout so it's a little bit less clunky, a bunch of feedback ideas, and then there's some like actually like systematic changes of changing my corruption system to more be a storm, adjusting how the win conditions work so that there are more like quests in like a ticket to ride situation where you pop up and get to pick one of 3 quests to do. If you succeed, you get a victory point and you win by getting 6 victory points. Adjusting the ascension level so that each ascension level isn't just a mod change, but instead adds a new mechanic and slowly unlocks the tech tree so that as each ascension level you go up, you have more complexity. 6 levels of difficulty where level 6 is the hardest, and each level introduces more and more complexity to the game. It's just a sweet spot for something I think I can reasonably do and would give you this feeling of I can get to 6 done, and after 6 I can be done with this game, and that can easily make this game worth $8, because hopefully like Ascension level 4, 5, and 6 are going to be more complicated, and if I can balance out this like storm mechanic correctly, it's going to give you this like difficulty to push against to really make sure you can min-max your runs in Hexagod. I'm excited to keep working on Hexagod in the long run. In the short run, it is going to be looking at this to see how can I fix the marketing, make the gameplay even better so that even if my marketing sucks, like right now the game is way more fun than I think what the Steam page looks like and what the capsule art looks like and stuff like that. And so if I can just keep making that gameplay even more fun, maybe I can like just make this game too good for people to not play. There's plenty of examples of games out there that like don't look really good, but are successful despite their looks. And I think that's, as a game developer and designer, that's where I want to play and want to live. In the also the immediate future, one of my plans, and I've talked about this in a few different videos, is to start working on game number 3. And with game number 3, trying to make the goal of that to make a game that is a lot more marketable, and specifically speaking, a game where somebody could come to the Steam page, read the title, see the capsule art, see the game art, and know very quickly this is a game for me or not. I'll likely make more videos about that game once I get going, but this was the first week where I spent 3 days making that game and seeing what I could get done. One of the more interesting things I want to do is I want to track the hours I spend on that game so that when the game gets launched, I can compare hours spent of doing development and work and publishing all that stuff to how much money I made from it. As a business, I need to figure out how to scale. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from doing Hexagod here is right now I don't think this model scales, but there's also like a 50% cost of my time baked into me learning game development. So in the very, very long run, I should be getting more efficient theoretically, and I should be making better game decisions, and my art skills should be improving, which means that the next game, if it still takes 10 months, it should be better in some regard. I guess that is the theory. I'm trying to take feedback in stride with Hexagod, not get defensive, and instead see the feedback for what it is, which is an education in teaching me what I did wrong and what I could do better in the future. I've been Aarimous. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good weekend. Not streaming this weekend, but I'll probably be back over on Twitch next weekend for a Friday of game development. Enjoy your pizza. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.